Yes, the divisions are destabilizing not only the African National Congress, but they have the possibility of destabilizing the country itself. And the sooner those divisions are sorted out, the better. And hopefully, the national conference that is impending in December will go a long way in addressing the causes of those conflicts, of those tensions.
What's driving the tensions and divisions?
Well, when I was here the last time, I explained that I responded to that question by saying that to start with, I think that for the number of years, there were tensions and divisions, but they were not as obvious as they are today. And I think over time, what has happened is that they emerge serious ideological differences, which in my view are irreconcilable within the ranks of the ANC. And it's very clear that to a large extent we don't speak the same language on major issues, on critical issues. The first of those for me is the question of land distribution to the African masses, and radical economic transformation of our economy, so that those black masses benefit from that radical economic transformation. And those are resolutions of the ANC Nasrec conference, which by now should have been implemented, and they've not.
And who do you blame for
that? And that is the nub of the issue. The issue of individuals, not liking each other and calling each other names, it's neither here nor there. The fundamental issue is the implementation of the resolutions of Nasrec that are meant to change the living and working conditions of the poorest of the poor. That is the issue.
All right. And I think you've set that background very clearly. So we're not going to traverse it further, except to say that when leaders such as Lindiwe Sisulu raise these matters around the Constitution and how it has not served the people of our country, is it appropriate that she raises it with a level of insult, which is what Justice Zondo has said, that the judiciary is being insulted? Is that the best way of expressing some of these frustrations?
Well, I'm not sure about insults, because in the political arena, insults are the order of the day. We get insulted every day, back and front, day in and day out.
And it's appropriate for you to extend those insults beyond the political realm and push them towards the country's judiciary?
For the longest time, President Zuma was called Makanda Kanda.
By who?
Showerhead. By almost everybody, including journalists.
Okay. Did the judges do that?
Well, I'm not sure about the judges.
So why insult them?
But President Zuma didn't call a press conference to complain about the insults. He understood that insults are part of the political debate and space. And therefore, South Africans are free to express themselves the way they want to. Lindiwe Sisulu has got the right enshrined in that constitution of ours and our Bill of Rights to speak her mind the way she wants to, and nobody can stop her. And as I say, the insults that people are trading in the country, it's not the first time. It has happened all the time. And,
all right. Mr. Yengeni, let's do this, because viewers, that they've listened to many of these. Let's cut to the chase here.
Yes.
Does Minister Sisulu need to retract her comments around the judges and, in fact, apologize?
Well, I think the best person to answer that question is her. Because in my book, I don't see the need to retract anything because the political space can be very tough space. And if judges are going to enter that space and comment on political articles, then they must expect that some people will be alienated from their views. And they will respond, even to a point of, throwing insults at them. Judges are not gods. Judges are human beings. Judges are fallible. And when they enter the political space, they must expect that there's going to be a very rough ride for them in that space. That's why, to a large extent, I think judges should refrain from entering that space. Otherwise, they're going to meet very rough elements in that space.
So even if they are called by names, not very... they're insulted. They were insulted. If you're going to call a judge a colonized house Negro, is that something that is appropriate? In fact, I might just actually add to this that when did they enter the political space which then resulted in Minister Sisulu saying what she said about it?
If you read her article carefully, you will realize that she describes in that article a certain black person of a certain nature who is not committed to his people, who is rather represents the aspirations and interests of another class, which is dominant in our economy, and is not interested in changing the status quo. And every turn, you've got that type of black in South Africa today, what she calls a house nigger. And I think that Judge Zondo overstepped his mark by that press conference. I think, if anything, he should have called a press conference to condemn the Phoenix massacre, where 300 people were killed in the space of 2 weeks.
Let me ask you this. The judges, having seen the amendments to the Constitution that have been had since 1994, if we can go that far, is it their fault that the land policy has failed to be implemented in the country to the benefit of the very poor masses that you talk about? Who should be held accountable for that?
Well, you see, Xoli, I think that the mistake that happened in 1994 was that the people who voted that time believed what we told them. That vote for us, we're going to go into government, we're going to change the situation for the better. Okay? They believed us. And the result thereof was that they threw away everything that they had in terms of organizing themselves and putting pressure on government to go in a certain direction. You will remember that before 94, they had formed all sorts of mass organizations. Students, teachers, civic organizations, even street committees.
So in the interest of time...
So they needed those so that they could put pressure on government. But after 94, they threw those away.
Yeah.
And now they gave all power to political organizations.
So in the interest of time then, we actually need to wrap this conversation.
Okay.
In essence, what you're saying is that the ANC, over the years, has lied to the people of South Africa by saying it's going to implement such policies, and you are here to actually tell us exactly that.
No, What I'm saying is that when political parties assume office, it's a terrible mistake on the part of the voters to solely rely on those parties. They must retain their power to influence the direction of the country in the direction in which they want, instead of sitting down, folding arms, and waiting for political parties to deliver the goods.
So in other words,
there must be active participants in trying to make what they want happen. That's what I'm trying to say.
Therefore, South Africans should not be gullible to think that the ANC is going to implement the Zondo recommendations as a result of what has taken place in the country, which is state capture. So South Africans must be active in order to see to it that those recommendations are implemented.
I'm saying that in general terms, as a matter of principle, whether it's in South Africa or it's in England, at all times, people should never put all their eggs in one basket of a political party. They must keep some measure of power in their hands so that when things go wrong, they're able to influence things in the right direction.
Do you believe that there was state capture in the country, as found by the Zondo Commission?
Well, state capture has happened in this country from time immemorial. This notion that state capture started 9 years ago, it's just mind-boggling. And that people believe that nonsense. Okay? State capture started long before even 94, you see? And it has continued. It continues to this day. See? So for people to think that it's a 9-year thing, that the state capture for 9 years, it's just, I don't understand that type of thinking at all.
Can I ask you this question, Mr. Yengeni? Do you believe that at the conference of the ANC that is coming up in December, we are going to see a renewed ANC that is likely to at least try and implement the promises that they've made to the people? You've said already that many of the things that it promised have not been achieved. And who will lead that, by the way? Who will lead this renewed, this reinvigorated ANC?
You see, these national conferences are meant to do just that, to reinvigorate the ANC by way of passing specific and concrete resolutions that deal with specific matters that confront the country in the interest of the people. And thereafter, they also elect a leadership that they think would implement those resolutions. And hopefully, come December, we'll have a conference that will direct itself to issues that affect the people. And they will elect a leadership that will be able to implement that direction. I'm positive that will happen in December.